Hi, guys, and welcome to the Horror Room. So, this week I thought we'd take an in depth look at my Troma video collection. Anybody who knows B rate horror movies, Troma's like the name to know. Right up there with Full Moon Video. And I've done a video on my older channel about all my Full Moon movies. Maybe I'll do an updated one eventually. But I just got done watching a Troma movie, and there's just something about watching a Troma movie that makes you feel like you're having a really fun time. As long as you can enjoy the silliness of it all. They definitely use a lot of low budget gore. They try and do like some offensive slapstick stuff, but it never comes off as mean spirited. It's always just like goofy. I mean, unless you're like super sensitive, you might get offended by some of the stuff. Um, it's like we just watched Poultrygeist, and it's a really fun movie. It's kind of a musical, um, but we'll talk more about that. I just wanted to show you what I have in my collection. Now, there's some stuff I'm not gonna pull out. I have like my Toxic Crusaders figure of Toxie and Dr. Killamoff. I've got my poster on the wall, which is signed by Lloyd Kaufman. You just have to take my word. I'm pretty sure I showed it. And I've got that sweet Trick or Treat Studios mask. Now, they do have a mask for Toxie from the Toxic Crusaders. That's from the original movie. I wish they would make a mask based off the second and third movie. We'll talk more about those when I get to those two. But let's talk about my Troma collection. Now, first off, something pretty cool that probably not a lot of people know is Marvel Comics. Yes, Marvel Comics did Toxic Avenger, and they also did Toxic Crusader. Now, these are just a really cool comic book series. Now, the Toxic Avenger one loosely follows the plot of the like second and third movies. Well, mostly the third movie with Apocalypse Inc. I'm trying to get this open. Oh, this one might be. Yeah. But, yeah. I remember I actually had this one when I was younger. It's got like something like a custard monster. Let me see if I can find that one scene. Oh, yeah, where it's like going into the guy's mouth and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And, it's got that sweet little Spider-Man mark right there, so it's Marvel. But yeah, these are a fun, short series of comics. They're a little pricey nowadays. I got these for like $1, so I got kind of lucky about them. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting the rest eventually, but Oh, and that's another thing. I think it's on my jacket, but I think I've showed you guys my Apocalypse Inc. Pin that's on my coat. How in the world is it? Okay, there we go. It's so hard to get these things back in here. But yeah, so you got these. They're basically issue 3 and issue 2. Then we have the only VHSs that I own, which, of course, I have Blood-Sucking Freaks, which I got at the Dead Formats convention last year. So I'll put that back on the shelf. Then I have the original trilogy of the Toxic Avenger. Now, what makes these special is my local video store was closing, and this is back before I had like a job, so I had limited amount of funds. But I go there, and the guy's like, hey, all our movies are on sale. Like, if you want something that we have, or we have another store, and we can show you what we got in that store. So I was like, okay. And I had bought some VHS from a different store around that time. But I looked in the big book, and I was like, ooh, the Toxic Avenger movies. I don't have those. And for some reason, the other video store didn't have them, and I'm like, they've got to have them. And sure enough, they did. So not only did I get the Toxic Avenger trilogy, these are the rated R versions. Actually, I don't know if this one's rated R. Doesn't say. Let me look on the tape. No, this is the unrated one. So they had apparently unrated VHS, but this one is the rated R. Pretty sure. I thought it said on there. I swore it did. Yes, this is the rated R one, and then I'm pretty sure this is the unrated. Let me look. Oh gosh, these shake and squeeze boxes there. Okay. This one doesn't say, huh? But it's the. Oh god, that's awful. The Lightning Video reverse or release. Sorry, Lightning Video release. But I had Lloyd Kaufman actually sign that one. Cool thing is if you ever get to meet Lloyd Kaufman and at any convention, he signs stuff for free. God bless that man. He's amazing. So yeah, I got those. Now let's get into the true meat of my collection, my DVD collection. Now, a lot of these I got from my friend. He had them, gave them to me. And I'm still building my Troma collection. There's a lot of classics that I don't have, and I'll mention those at the end, like some of the ones I'm after. And like I have them saved on a list, so that way I know which ones I'm getting. Blood-Sucking Freaks. This is one that I have not seen yet, and I'm meaning to watch it eventually. I've heard it's very shocking or whatever. It's a Troma movie though, so I'm not going to be surprised. I'm pretty sure. This film contains scenes of gross and disgusting nature, and if you're not disgusted, you should see a shrink. Fair enough. So yeah, I got that. And then I have the Class of Nukem High trilogy. Now, it's been a while since I've seen these, and I think I only watched the first two. Now, I do remember I did love the first movie, because there's some characters in this that are also in the Toxic Avenger, at least actors anyways. And usually if you're watching a Troma movie, Toxie himself makes a cameo, whether physically or, you see him in the background, because he's kind of like the mascot for Troma. Then we have Class of Nukem High 2, Subhumanoid Meltdown. It's just where it's like a giant rat monster, so like even the back of the movie, it's just so ridiculous and schlocky. But that's kind of the fun of watching a Troma movie. Yeah, this one I don't think I've seen this one all the way. Class of Nukem High 3, The Good, the Bad, and the Subhumanoid. It's very ridiculous. My plan is to get them all and binge watch them, and I have most of them, and I'll show you which one I'm missing. Then we have Devoured, The Legend of Alfred Packard. Now, the interesting thing about this is Troma actually released 2 movies about Alfred Packard. The other one being Cannibal the Musical with Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Now, that's one that I don't have that I really do want to get my hands on because I used to love Matt Stone and Trey Parker. You got Basketball, you got South Park, Orgasmo, and it was kind of like a musical comedy. This one is more of a straight horror movie, and honestly, it's not a very good one. I did not like this one that much. But this movie, I was actually pleasantly surprised by. Girls School Screamers. It's kind of more of a standard slasher movie. It's got a bit of a supernatural edge to it, but it's pretty fun. I liked it. And I think on that one, maybe it was another one, I saw the trailer for this. I haven't watched it yet, but the trailer was so weird and bizarre. I was like, what? Igor and the Lunatics. And that's literally in the trailer. They keep saying, Igor and the Lunatics. And it just looks like my type of madness. So I'm excited to eventually check that one out. And here we have another classic, a Don Dohler film that was released. Now, some of these aren't directly directed by Lloyd Kaufman. They're just released through Troma. Another example would be Rabid Grannies. That's one I don't have that I really want. But here we have Night Beast. So I've heard good things about this one. Of course, the infamous Don Doler, the blood, beasts, and boobs. And that's kind of what Troma goes for, too, so fits right in. And then, of course, we have Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Now, while I'm filming this, I've heard that they're going to make a sequel. I don't know if it's going to be a musical. This one was kind of a musical. I think there's like 4, maybe 5 songs in the whole movie. So it's not like a full-blown musical, but there's musical moments. But I think this is one of the most over-the-top, gory, blast, gross, tastic Troma films there is. And it had been a while since I've seen it, but I didn't own it, and I was like, you know what? This is a must-have for any Troma fan. I would put it right up there with Toxie and Sergeant Kabuki Man, which I don't own, but... Now, here's one that I honestly don't like that much, and I used to have the special edition, if you can believe it or not. I found it at Walmart for $5, and it came with the soundtrack. But this is the director's cut. Good enough, I guess. Redneck Zombies. This movie is pretty bad, but it's kind of silly. It's got some fun moments. The Tobacco Man scene is very bizarre, weird. But we like weird. But it's a staple of the Troma early days anyways. The Toxie days, as they're called. And then here we have Return to Nukem High Volume 1. Now, I don't remember if it came with this green case, but I stuck it in one because I was like, you know what? Troma movies in green cases, that's where it is. Now, like I said, I'm missing one of the Nukem High movies, and that's Volume 2. Once I get it, I'm planning on binging all of them back to back. And I think the Angry Video Game Nerd is in Volume 2, maybe. So that's kind of cool. I do know he had a crossover episode where Lloyd Kaufman came on his show, and they reviewed some of the Toxic Crusader games. So that's pretty fun. Then we have Terror Firmer, which I'm going to have to cover this butt on the cover. This was a fun movie. It was about like them making a movie and a whole bunch of wackiness involving like a transgendered killer, which, you know, it's pretty cool. The way they did it was probably kind of offensive to some people, but it's Troma. Like I said, either you're with them or you're like, eh. Then I have the Toxic Crusaders movie. Now, it's kind of just a retelling of his origin story with a couple extra episodes added in. I will say it's a little long. Like, I wish it was kind of a smaller, simple movie. Or maybe it felt long. I don't have the series. I would love to get the series and watch it. This isn't a cartoon that I necessarily grew up with. I actually learned about it later. Because I grew up with the Toxic Avenger movies. But it's always weird when they take a rated R franchise like Aliens and they turned them into figures, or like they'd had a Rambo cartoon. So it's crazy that they turned Toxic Avenger into Toxic Crusaders, and it's kind of like Captain Planet. It's got the environmental message, but it's fun. There's a lot of cool characters in there that are exclusive to the cartoon, and then you have, of course, the Toxic Avenger, the classic, the movie that basically Troma built its entire empire off of. And this, of course, is the unrated one featuring the full head crushing scene. They love to, you know, tout that. Now I don't have it out. It's packed up. But I do have the Toxic Avenger movie novel, and it goes into more in depth about some of the characters, some of the events. It's a little strange of a novel, I will say. But it is a good read, and if you like the movie, I would recommend at least reading the novel too. And then I have the Japanese cut. It's longer than the director's cut, and I can attest that it is. It's longer by a couple minutes. The scenes that are in there, I wouldn't say they're actually necessary, but it is interesting to see a different cut. And this one looks like it was signed by Lloyd Kaufman. So, and this is one that I ended up getting, so I didn't have to have him sign that one. Um, yeah, and he hasn't signed my DVD yet. I do eventually would like to get. Yeah, that was horrible English, by the way. The Toxic Avenger on Laserdisc and get him to sign that. That'd be pretty awesome. And then we have my personal favorite, Part 2, where he goes to Japan. It's very slapstick, very funny, less gore, but there are some gore moments in it. My favorite part in the whole movie, though, happens at the beginning, where Apocalypse Inc. sends their goons to attack the Home for the Blind, and they're all coming out of the limo like a clown car. Just a giant fight scene. It's great, and it's got the guy who played Spawn in that fight scene. I'm trying to remember his name. I'm not gonna remember it. Anyways, then we have the Toxic Avenger Part 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie. Basically, Toxie versus the devil. Pretty fun movie, pretty gory. They also transform him back into Melvin in this movie, and it's a different actor than the original guy. I didn't like that so much, but other than that, it's a good movie. Then we have Toxic Avenger 4, Citizen Toxie. This is a very divisive movie for Troma fans and Toxie fans. While it was like, hey, we're getting a new Toxie movie, it's Citizen Toxie. It's kind of weird. They changed the look of Toxie again. The plot is like a alternate universe thing. I mean, it's fine, but I think in most people's opinion, this is probably going to be the one. Oh gosh, this will be the one that they pick last, other than maybe the remake, which was fine, but just I don't know, didn't feel right. And last but not least, this is the theatrical release. I don't know if there's an uncut version, but I didn't think about that. Wait. Which one's on here? Okay, that's weird. It says the 1997 theatrical release, but then down here it says the unrated director's cut. I have no clue. I'm assuming it's rated. Maybe there's options on here. But anyways, it's Tromeo and Juliet. Now, in this, it has the actual Troma catalog. Now, I'm going to have to be careful because I know they sold a lot of naughty movies on here. But I did want to go through the list that this shows and talk about some of the ones that I don't have. Beware Children at Play. That's one that I really want to get my hands on. I haven't seen it, but I did see a clip of the ending where like the kids are getting all killed and stuff, and it looks insane and fun. Troma's War. I've heard that's a good movie. I don't know much about it, but I'd be interested in watching it. Surf Nazis Must Die. That's a staple for any Troma collection. I have seen it. I didn't like it at the time, but I think I could appreciate it a little bit more. It's kind of an interesting movie. Bloodsucking Freaks. Sergeant Kabuki Man. I don't own it, which is weird. You'd think that's like one that like is so easy to get. It's also, in my opinion, kind of weird that is a one only movie. Like I can see them doing more of those. Although they did bring him back for the Toxic Avenger Part 4. But I think he's a little annoying in that movie. There's a lot of VHS on here. I'm trying to... Oh, it folds out. It's like a little poster. Yeah, most of these are VHS. They have DVD, but it's mostly VHS stuff. Let's see if there's anything on the VHS. Frostbiter. Never heard of that one. Zombie Island Massacre. That one sounds cool. Monster in the Closet. I've heard that one's terrible. Blades. About the killer lawnmower, I think it is. That one could be fun. Bloodhook. There's a classic that I've Heard good things about. Haven't seen it. Cry Uncle. Stuck on You. Squeeze Play. They did some like comedy stuff too. Let's see. Yeah, most of these are just your standard Tromas that I basically have. So, Beware Children at Play, Surf Nazis Must Die, and Sergeant Kabuki Man are like at the top, and Return to Nukem High Part 2. I do want to eventually get those movies because I'm a big Troma fan. I started off as just a Toxic Avenger fan, but over the years I've watched more of the movies and I've grown to appreciate the company. Um, they're great when it comes to independent filmmakers and, letting people have a voice for whatever they want to make, no matter how goofy, no matter how gory, offensive, controversial. Um, I just think it's a great company. And anyone who's met Lloyd Kaufman can attest that he is one of the most nicest, humble guys that you'll ever want to meet. Um, it's sad to say he's getting up there in years, and I'm kind of wondering where the Troma legacy is going to go once he passes on. I'm assuming, I think he has a daughter that she'll kind of take control. Um, but, a lot of these lower budget studios, sometimes it can be a bit much. Maybe somebody else will take the helm, but only time will tell. But I think Troma is a great studio. I think their films are great. And I think if you have not watched a single Troma movie, you've got to at least watch The Toxic Avenger. Outside of Troma, it's like a classic 80s movie that like anybody should see. And it's very enjoyable. Kind of like an early superhero prototype, but it's got a lot of over the top gore, definitely over the top acting, but hey, it's a lot of fun. So there you have it. There's my Troma collection. I got to put all this crap back now, and I better go help Toxie clean up. So take care, guys, and I'll see you next week.